welcome back to Game Talk from the Bench. I'm your host, Drew Brito. I'm here with my guest, my co-host, Devon and James. And today we have a guest, Nathan Lozano. Nate, give us a quick introduction of yourself.
All right, so first things first, my name is Nate Lozano. My real name is Nathan. I've been playing basketball since I was a little kid, probably I'll say about fourth grade. I got introduced to it, really fell in love with it. My first sport was baseball, but once basketball took over, I really fell in love with it. My position is point guard. I've always liked to play point guard. I like to handle the ball, get players involved, do my job, and yeah, I'm a junior, and looking forward to next season. Doing good for my senior year last year, so just gotta do what I gotta do.
Thank you. So today is Monday, obviously 2/17. This game we played on was Friday, 2/14. It was senior night. Big game. Devin, how was it for you on senior night? Last game, last possible home game for the year or ever.
It's some mixed emotions about it. I mean, the thought of us, that was our last game that we'll ever play together in that gym. We're all started 4 years ago. Um, and it just, seeing everybody and all the seniors that we had on the team, we had what, 10, 11 of us?
Yeah, I was 11 of us.
Seniors, like huge graduating class, and seeing everybody walk out with their family and stuff and all the support. It was cool to see.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I'm glad we're actually having this talk, a few days after the game, right? If we would have did it immediately after the game, I think the show would have went a little different, right? Gave us a little bit of time to kind of calm down and things like that. I don't know, that's for myself, from the fans out in the stands. I'm sure we're gonna jump into the game, but hopefully you guys, felt some of that, frustration and as well, and wanted to, show off a little better. I know. Nate, I know you haven't been on some of the previous podcasts, but we've talked about how just at home it's been difficult for Live Oak to pull it out, right? Devin, you mentioned that in a couple episodes, right? So I don't know, just a little frustrating there, but I think we'll jump into the game. Drew, it was senior night. Maybe give us some of your thoughts on that, right? 11 seniors, as Devin was mentioning. How was it for yourself?
It's a little bittersweet. You never want the journey to come to an end, but eventually it does. So it was nice walking out, nice, being able to get in the game. But as you know, we played Mount Pleasant on Friday, but last time we played them, we beat them by about 40. It was about 70-39. It was a complete blowout. So coming in this game, we all thought, obviously we didn't take them lightly, but we all thought, we should have won this game. And I'll share my screen here first, but yeah, we definitely should have won this game. I mean, we ended up losing 45-43. It was definitely a rough one, to say the least. It was not our best game. But to start the game, we actually they shot technical free throws. Devin, I mean, they didn't tell us exactly why they shot technical free throws to start the game, but you guys have any idea? I mean, obviously some of our guys can dunk. Sometimes they do it pregame and whatnot. But I mean, what do you think? Who do you think it was, Dev?
Originally I thought it was Nate, actually. I thought they called it on Nate because he didn't grab the rim. I don't know. He grabbed the net or something. I saw one of the refs just look at him trying to find him, and I don't think he could figure out who it was. So then he gave us a tech, and they shot some free throws in the game. I don't know, but also Leo too. It could have been Leo because Leo normally he does try to get a little pregame dunk every time we get a chance to warm up for our games. So it could have been him too. I wouldn't be surprised because he's gotten called on it a couple times. This is the first time though that we've actually got teed up for it, and the other teams shot free throws.
Yeah, is that Drew? You're on mute. Drew, is that a rule that's known? Is that something? I mean, I know at least the some of the fans out in the stands were asking, how do you score points before the game even starts?
Yeah, I mean, I thought, normally when it does happen, I thought normally they're supposed to blow the whistle before the game, let everyone know that there's a technical foul being called for dunking or touching the rim. but they just didn't let anything be known. Our guys are going out there to get ready for tip off, and they're shooting 2 free throws. I mean, they go 1 for 2 from the line, so only puts down 1. So that was a little bit frustrating, a little bit of confusion for everyone. But
So
so
Nate,
we're getting.
was that you?
Honestly, I don't think it was, but I think I know who it was. I've seen it. I've seen it.
All right, all
Yes.
right.
So getting to our starting lineup, we all know last week Jalen, since it was Eli's last game last week, Jalen gave up his starting spot last week. And as we know in our last episode, we discussed about Jalen getting injured in the game. So today or during our game, he started out. We got the jump ball, and then he was instantly subbed out by myself. So it
Yeah, you
was
can see him
very
with that knee brace there.
yeah.
It's really struggling at the game, but it was good to kind of see them get him in and at least have that moment, or as as a senior, like you said, possibly last time on home court.
Yeah, it's very sad to see that. But to start the game, we get a steal by Luke and and one by Ethan. Um, and then I believe actually I have Devin. You know a lot about this. Number 35 on their team. He didn't really do much in our first matchup, but he was very known today, and he was going. You see him right there. He's celebrating after everything. Devin, you said he was talking, chirping at you during the game. So, what was he saying to you?
Now you just say like little comments under his breath, like there was one in one instance, I think the ball went out of bounds and he was just I don't know, he was just saying stuff under his breath and I was like I couldn't really understand what he was saying. So then I started going back with him and then he started to speak up a little bit more. And then uh he pointed to the scoreboard at one instance because we were down.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, dude, it's like the first quarter. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you barely have done anything. Like,
Yeah.
it got frustrating, and stuff like that. So yeah, he was the only one really. One of their the big with the arm sleeve. I think he had an arm sleeve on. He was telling
Number
me he
24.
was like, yeah, he was pretty nice. He was chill. He was just like, dude, he was like, I mean, like you do what you want, but he once he gets going, he gets going. Like it's hard to calm him down. And I was like, okay. I was like, well, thanks for letting me know. So
Yeah, from the stands, I could read his lips. He was looking right at you, look at the score, and he kept nodding his head up at the
yeah,
scoreboard, right, saying, "Look at the score, look at the score." But they did come out, and end at the first quarter, up 22-10, right after one, right. So it was, it was definitely a rough start, considering where the last game was, right.
mm.
Yeah, so I didn't hear him say anything. Nate, when you were in, did you hear him talking at all, or even number 5?
I didn't hear any of them talking, or at least to me. But I saw them
Yeah.
talking to Devin when I was on the bench during that point. I was like, why is this guy even talking? Like, he shouldn't even be saying anything. It's the
Yeah.
first quarter.
So
Even the
Nate,
bench was.
how is it for you? Normally you're starting every game. How is it for you to come
Yeah.
off the bench?
Coming off the bench, it was very nerve-wracking. Like I was super antsy to get in. It was very different, but I had to cheer you guys on. Obviously, I was hyped for you guys. I want to see you guys get buckets. I want to see you guys be up. But I was very, very nervous.
Yeah, so in this first quarter, I mean, we just couldn't put the ball in the hoop. I mean, we had a lot of misses. I don't know how many threes we shot in this first quarter, and I know we made maybe only one, and I believe it was Carlos late in the quarter.
Oh, and
But I
the
mean,
crowd erupted with that one, right? I mean, I don't know if you can
yeah, they
play it with
did.
the sound. I don't know if you can play it with the sound, Drew, but to kind of see Carlo get in there, one of the seniors getting their chance to shine here, kind of in the senior game, and to see him, splash down a three was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, in the first quarter, it just seemed like our offense was so one-sided. It just felt like we just kept shooting threes. I mean, Devin, what do you think? It looked like no one looked to drive. I mean, I saw you drive a couple times, but the ball wasn't falling down. So, what do you think?
Yeah, it was it was rough. I mean, shooting wise, I mean, it was rough. I tried to drive a couple times. Nothing really went in. Um, Shooting was a little off. I felt like the people that were on the court were like nervous. I mean, I mean, which is kind of expected, especially when they don't they haven't played as much as us, so that so getting on that court is, I know it can be a little intimidating at sometimes. But I think we also had a little trouble trying to facilitate the ball and get some things going for us.
There's that three. There's that
Yeah, there's
three.
that.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
that was
a
a good
big bucket.
shot.
We were down 20-7 at this time, so this made it a 10-point game. But yeah, that was the only three I want to say made it I think the half.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably. Yeah, it was. So
But
yeah, it was
yeah,
a little rough.
so it was rough. There was a good like 4 minutes of just no buckets. Devin, you were in, so like how is it, just not like pin any points up on the board, especially in a big game like this?
I mean, it was frustrating to say the least. I mean, and I tried. I mean, I tried driving. I tried passing the ball. I don't know, anything I could try and do. I tried, and nothing was working out. I mean, you can see right there. I mean, we were getting looks. It just nothing was falling. Um, so yeah, it was definitely frustrating for sure.
And then you wanna talk about the refs for this game? I mean, they were a huge impact. They were terrible.
Refs. I've never seen any of those refs at all throughout this season. This is like the first time that at least I've seen them ref our game. They were making some very interesting calls both ways. I mean, there were some calls that I thought shouldn't have been with us, and there's some calls I didn't think that should have been with them. But yeah, these refs, I don't know. It definitely played a huge factor, in my opinion, in our loss. Um, but yeah, it was very interesting, especially throughout the game. Towards the end of the game, it definitely got interesting
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
right here,
We'll
Nate. Yeah, right here, Nate
yeah.
checks in the game. In previous episodes, Devin, you've talked about how Nate makes your life a lot easier when he's on the court. So when
Yeah,
him, Sam, and I think Ethan checked back in, I'm thinking, okay, now is our chance to get back in this game. We are down, I think, 12 at this point. We're down 22-10, and it's just shots just weren't falling. Oh, actually, well, yeah, we got here right now. We're down 10, but actually, we did go on a little run. I believe we got down, I want to say 6 or 8 right here, but
yeah, we got close.
shots were
Yeah, there
not
were
falling.
definitely there were chances to close that gap, right? But it's just,
Yeah,
some missed opportunities. You talked about the refs making some terrible calls. I mean, it's definitely from the stands, from the on the parent side of things,
yeah,
definitely saying, how could those calls be missed, right? I mean, it was some of them were pretty bad. And then also kind of looking at in the second quarter when number 35 was kind of the main offensive guy from Mount Pleasant, and when he was on the bench, you weren't really taking advantage of his him being on that sideline, right? Um, but yeah, no, we were definitely looking for the Nate and team to kind of come back in and hopefully get some rhythm going. Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. I mean, right here, Nate, you had a fast break layup, and it looked like you might not be able to see it clearly on the film, but it looked like he definitely fouled you. Definitely got you low on the hip, and nothing's called, and we see you, hobbling when you're walking back. I mean, did that affect you the rest of the game?
Honestly, yeah, it did because I wasn't able to make the the sharp crossovers. I wasn't able to stop as fast as I can, like be able to play on my left foot. And honestly, I don't think it was a foul. I think I just didn't step right, and I started my gather step way too early, and I stepped hard on my left foot, and that he didn't really touch me either. He didn't really foul me. It was just my
Yeah.
fault.
So did it affect your jumper? I mean, you had a couple of good looking shots that just fell short. I mean, did you feel like you had less power in your legs, or?
No, yeah, for sure. Because I wasn't able to put as much pressure on my left leg. It was all mostly on my right, so it affected my jumper. But again, that's no excuse.
Yeah, and then Devin, last game, you were the hero of the game. You had 24 points. You shot 4 for 8 from three, but on Friday it was definitely a different story. I mean, you ended the game with 5 points. You shot 1 for 8 on three. I mean, how how does it feel? One day you're just straight on fire, and the next game you're just almost ice cold.
It's like a slap to the face almost. It's like coming off this big game, and I'm like thinking, okay, maybe I could do something a little similar to that. And it just went the complete opposite way. It was a complete opposite outcome. Uh, I feel like offensively I didn't really do much at all. And it was just a rough shooting night. I mean, I couldn't really hit from three. Only had 1 3, like you said, went 1 for 8. Even my shots around the basket weren't going in. Yeah, it was just it was frustrating, and nothing really was working out for me.
Yeah. So James, the second quarter's winding down? What were your thoughts on the first half?
Yeah, I mean the first half, I had some notes in there. I'm just like, just don't settle for threes. I mean, so many, I know that's the team's go-to shot, right? And everyone's looking to be around the perimeter of the 3-point line and kind of tossing them up, but there are games where you're driving and getting contact and fouls and and making some free throws and things like that. And I almost felt that the team needed to change it up a little bit when they saw that their initial go-to shots were not falling, right?
Yeah, so right now we're getting to halftime. We're down 18-26 at half. Devin, you want to talk about our halftime discussion? Do you remember it at all?
Oh, I don't really remember that much. I'm gonna be honest. I don't.
Any talks of adjustments that needed to be made? Nate, anything from coach's standpoint that they were looking at? I know that 18-26, you're definitely not out of it, right? I mean, 18-26, 8 points down, it's definitely within striking distance, right?
Mm. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
I mean,
obviously,
go continue it.
I'll go ahead, Juju.
Yeah, I mean, I remember Coach talking. He just said shots weren't falling. He said, I hope this second half, shots start falling. But yeah, Nate, continue. What were you going to talk about?
He said keep on taking the open looks, start to drive more, but don't worry about the refs. That's their job. We should just focus on our game.
Yeah, you're right. And then we didn't. That was offensively. Defensively, he said we were making enough stops. We just weren't scoring enough. But we stuck in the 2-3 the whole game because last time we played them, we played 2-3 and they only put up 39 points in the whole game. Right now they're at 26. Did you guys think we should have switched up defenses?
Hmm. I feel like we could have stayed at 2-3, but what really didn't help us was obviously the first quarter, the second quarter, because that number 35 kid was just shooting everything. But I feel like when we were down, the momentum was really low, so it was very hard for us to get back in the game.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like I said, we were getting stops. We just weren't pinning points on the other end, and it almost was like we're running out of time. We got to get more possessions. But for me, it felt like 2-3 wasn't going to get us more possessions. It was they were taking a lot of time off the shot clock. Devin, you're muted right now, but you want to add anything to that?
Sorry, can you say that one more time? Sorry.
I said, we're in 2-3. We were getting stops and points weren't going down, but clock was ticking down. They were wasting a lot of time on every shot and possession. And I felt like we needed to go to man and get any more possessions. So, what were your thoughts on?
I think after the first half, yeah, we were getting stops. I just feel like if we were to go to a man, I feel like we should have went to man coming out of half. I feel like we should have came out of man out of half, switched things up right away, and just stuck with it.
Yeah. I mean, I know we'll get there, but it looked like you guys didn't change up the defense until like 1 minute left in the fourth, and by that time, it's like you're not giving yourself a lot of time to try to recover, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I agree. Coming out of half, or maybe even at least starting of the fourth quarter, right, to kind of switch things up and put a little bit pressure. I mean, it's, from a fan, I'm looking at it from the stands, and I'm like, you just let them walk up the court, right? And just do what they want, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I definitely felt like they were very comfortable in the game. They led throughout the entire game, and almost like we didn't have enough to fight back in the game. Especially like I said, the refs weren't making it easier. If anything, they made it harder for us. They were calling questionable stuff. I remember being on the sideline and he said, I'm calling it both ways. But if you looked at, we don't have the fouls up, but if you looked at the end of every quarter, we had 4 and they had like 1. I remember, and even in this third quarter, they got their first foul with 2 minutes left. And so, it was very frustrating to see that. So another a big play I want to get to is right here. We were down 6, I believe. 20. Well, we're down 7. 20-21. They got inbound, and I believe Leo gets a steal right here. Right, Nate, you're wide open for a wing 3. We know you hit it in transition a lot, and they draw a charge. Nate, what went through your mind when that happened? Because obviously that's a big play. Switches possessions, gives us another foul. So what went through your mind out there? You open on the wing and you're thinking you might get the ball.
Were you calling for it?
I was just letting him do it because I felt like he had it was honestly a good layup. It's just the defender made a good play. He took the charge. But what he could have done differently is give me the ball up earlier. I could have drove down. And if the defender would have gone to me, I could have just passed it back to him, or I could have just pulled up. It would have been a lot easier since I would say I'm probably a more better ball handler and he's more of a big. But yeah, I feel like I could have hit that in the wing though.
Yeah, I mean,
Definitely.
definitely, watching I know we're concentrating on this game, but looking at some of the, earlier games and things like that, Nate, I was always, telling Drew sometimes after games, I'm like, Nate needs to take more shots. Nate needs to take more shots, right? And it looks like you've definitely been doing that here, right? But yeah, you wish you had that opportunity there. And
Yeah.
I mean, I think everybody was having a tough time. I think overall you were 3 for 13, right? 23% for the game, right? So definitely still difficult, right? It's difficult shooting night overall, right? But yeah, you're looking for some of those open shots, and it seems like again, those open shots were just not falling, right? I mean, I wrote down a note, kind of, there was 4 minutes went by in the third quarter, and there were only 5 points scored total by both sides. So, I mean, if you look at Max Preps, they're, Mount Pleasant, they don't load all of their stats, but I can't imagine that theirs were any better, right, in regards to their percentages and efficiencies and things like that.
Yeah, so right here, Devin, coach subbed in your brother and Luke's brother, and you guys were on the court to share it prior for the first and possibly last time. How was that, being out there with your brother and Luke being out with his brother, and being on the court for about 2 minutes?
It was cool. I mean, it was definitely a memory I'll remember for my life, to be honest. It was cool, like, to see my brother and Luke's brother and us to be able to play together in our last game on that court in that gym. But yeah, it was cool. Me personally, I didn't think it was the right time to do it. We were down? What is
No, we
it?
were down 7.
Yeah, down 7. I thought he could have kept the starters in, or whoever was in before that got before Dylan and Dane got subbed in, to kind of give us that lead, like trying to close that gap and possibly take the lead. I thought we were gonna do that, but besides that, it was a cool experience. A
Yeah.
little too
Did you
cool.
know? Did you know he was going to put you in with your brother? You played with Dylan before, though, in games, but I don't know if Luke has played with his brother before.
Yeah, I played with Dylan a couple times before. I don't think Dane and Luke have ever played together. Before this was, I'm pretty sure this was their first time.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think at the end of the quarter, I think that was going to be the best time. I think he wanted to give the team the whole fourth quarter to try to come back and kind of recover there. But I think that was a great gesture from the coach to go ahead and do that.
Yeah, it was pretty cool of him to do that for us.
So Nate, you were also in there with them. How was that? For the last 2 minutes, you were in there with the two brothers, two sets of brothers.
I think it was a good idea. It was a cool idea, but again, I don't. If we're down that much, I don't think. Honestly, me personally, I don't think that should be happening.
Yeah, well, they did have, like I said, love the two brothers and all, but they did have some crucial turnovers that led to, I think, about 5 points off this turnover. So now we're in the fourth quarter, down 7. I mean, we're down 7 like most of the third and the fourth, but we just couldn't ever close it within. I mean, total. At the end of the game, we shot 5 for 30 on threes, and normally we are a good 3-point shooting team. Devin, do you think it was just the antics from the game, or do you just think it was just a bad shooting night?
I think it was just a rough shooting night, to be honest. I don't think there was any. I don't think it was really nerves or anything. I mean, we've all been. We know we know what we're capable of doing. We know we're capable of shooting the three, especially in our own gym. I mean, I know tonight or that night didn't really show it all that well, but it was just a rough shooting night.
Yeah. So right here, another crucial play in the fourth. I believe it's still down 7. You get missed bucket. Our center gets hit down below, and then Leo makes a great defensive play on the other side, and then he gets called for a technical. I mean, it's just brutal, dude. Like I said, number 35 was celebrating all night. Every bucket he scored, he was talking, doing this, doing that, and they got nothing for it. And our guy makes an amazing play. Doesn't really make the taunting gesture. He flexes a little, but he's staring at the crowd, and the ref sees it, and he thinks he's doing it to him, and he calls a tech. I mean, it's just.
Yeah.
Do you
And
believe it
Drew,
should have been a tech? Any of you?
What
Do you believe that was tech worthy?
No, I mean,
I don't know.
I mean, no, I don't think so. I mean, he made a good play, and he felt good about it. I mean, it's part of the game. It's just that's an emotion that you get. It's I don't know. I didn't think the tech needed to be called there at all.
yeah, I mean, he did stand over him, and I guess the refs were trying to try to make a point there, but you gotta call it both ways, right? If they're trying to respect the rules of the game and things like that, and so because there were other opportunities at the end of the game where the Mount Pleasant players were shushing the crowd and things like that, and they weren't calling anything, right? And that could have been a technical offense, right? So,
Yeah.
Drew, for those that might not be familiar with high school basketball, give them the break down. What does the tech mean in high school basketball? Because it's a little bit more than just
Tech
a regular
is.
tech in the NBA, right?
I mean, a technical foul is huge. I mean, obviously before the game they got the 2 free throws, but they still got to play the jump ball. But normally, yeah, Tech's 2 free throws, and I believe plus possession, if I'm not wrong.
No, that's correct.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was very crucial. Like I said, we were down 7, and then they get obviously it was still their ball because he blocked it, but he gives them 2 more free throws, and I want to say, did he make both free throws?
Probably.
I think he. No, I think he made both. Yeah, number 5 says he makes both. So I mean, that put us down 9, and that's those 2 technical free throws plus the one they made. I mean, we lost this game by 2. I mean, that's just 3 points, right? If those technicals never happened, I mean, we win the game. So like I said, you can't put everything on the rest, but they definitely didn't do anything in our favor. And obviously, I'm not saying that they should, but they definitely didn't call it both ways. And
Yeah. It was frustrating because one of the refs in particular, he emphasized talking to each other, not talking to white talks to white, right, jerseys, and then black talks to black, right. He talks to our team, and it was frustrating because towards the end, it didn't seem like that. I mean, it's like, how are you gonna enforce a rule and not call it both ways? And that was just frustrating.
yeah, he definitely came over and talked to our assistant coach about a bunch of times, just saying like, hey, keep your players, like you said, talking to each other, and he's calling everything both ways, but it's just like he wasn't. They were just letting things happen for them, and then for us, they were just calling every little ticky tack thing, and it's just not one of those things, and especially like it reminds me of like last year. Last year one of our seniors, they called a couple ticky tacky fouls on him. They even called a tech on him, and he's out of the game by the third quarter. He didn't get to enjoy his senior night.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things. It's like these refs can't. It felt like they made the game about themselves.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you have to let the players play. I mean, that's what they're there for, right? To play basketball.
Yeah. So I'm gonna get into right here. There was about 15 seconds left. Right, we're down 3, 43-40, and you can't see it clearly. But when they inbound this ball, obviously, you could run the baseline or you could even pass baseline to baseline. But right here, it looks like when he passes the ball, like you said, you can't get the clear image. But you see his foot is in right there. And I believe that's when he gets the ball, and then he comes back out of bounds on the baseline and passes it in. And originally, I thought they got the call right. He calls, what do you call it? Illegal something. Because it definitely looked like, he caught the ball in bounds and came out of bounds. So obviously, he's out of bounds, right? It would be all ball with down 3. We got 15 seconds to try to tie the game, right? And we heard, I don't know if you heard, but you heard the other players on the other team saying we've done that before, right? But like off the bench, I'm pretty sure everyone in the stands, James, I don't know if you saw, but it looked like he was in bounds when he caught that ball.
Yeah, it looks like the pass was in. Nate, you were right there. Tell us what you saw, and do you think it was a right call that was made, initially or after the refs came together and eventually overturned it.
Initially, I thought that was the right call, but I had a feeling that he caught the ball inbounds and went out of bounds with it. I didn't think he went like all the way out of bounds.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like I said, that's what it looked like. It looked like he still had a foot in, or even just like crossing. He was still in bounds when he caught that ball before he came out of bounds. So at first, I thought the ref called, and then they had a discussion, and then they started talking about how, like, now
Yeah.
it was eligible for number 5 to be the first player to touch the ball coming back in. But it's like, okay, that's fine, but was number 1 in bounds when he caught that ball? And eventually, we get to the fouling game. They end up overturning the call, and
yeah, and the fans and from the fans' point of view, we're like, there's no way they could overturn this call. And we're talking out there. They took their time making that call, but as the parents were talking, we're just like, the way the game has went, it wouldn't surprise us. And sure enough, they overturned that call, and that was huge, right? 3, you would have got the ball right there, right underneath your basket, with 15 seconds left to try to make a play to close the game out, right? Or come closer to tying it up.
Yeah, I was even asking the refs like, did he catch the ball in bounds to go out of bounds? And that wasn't the first time I was talking to him. I was also talking about the foul calls and everything.
yeah, definitely. And then right here, they ran some football-looking formation, and then they got the inbound in, and I believe this is where, look, was that when he shifts the crowd right here after he makes the?
Yeah, he shifts the crowd right here after that one. Looking at the cheerleaders and stuff like that, and then I think it happens again with number 35. Does it to the crowd as well, and I think he gave him a warning right there. But still, it's like, how many warnings are you going to give them? Right?
Exactly right, Devin. Did you hear the ref give him a warning, like saying like next time it's a tech?
Yeah, he did, and he never called it. And I was like, dude, like, come on, you can't say something and not do it.
So Devin, 13 seconds left. I think you know what's coming up right now. Nate, we'll get your thoughts about this shot too.
Oh, dude,
obviously, we're running out of time. They're pressing up, and you pull.
Dude, I pulled up
Steph
from
Curry range 3, down 4.
Hey,
I
I'm not
mean,
mad at that.
yeah, I mean, time's running out, but it definitely looks like you could have gave Sam the ball. Maybe not. But yeah, I definitely think, in the situation, I mean, I guess it was our best shot. I know you got range too, but this one was extremely deep.
This was straight.
This was
glass.
extremely deep.
It was real deep. I was just
So
like, dude, I'm just gonna.
yeah.
I don't know who you think you are, Devin.
Nate's pulled a couple of those in the game.
Look right here. Look, he shifts to the crowd again, and he makes it known, and no tech is called. I mean, think about a tech is called right there, right? We're down 5, 2 free throws on the ball. I mean, say we make those 2 free throws, it's 3-point game, and it's just I don't know. These refs they had 2 inverted whistles. And to me, that's absurd. How do you accidentally blow your whistle twice without calling anything? And it was very confusing and frustrating on that. At the end of the game, I hear, he misses the next free throw. Ethan comes down and he hits a floater three, but by then Tom's already running out. I know Devin, you were questioning why the clock stopped, but it's just the high school rule. Clock don't stop after every bucket. And they end up winning by 2. We'll get to the box score here. Nate, I mean, like you said, you didn't start, you didn't play. Normally you play the whole game, but you missed out on, let's say, you didn't play for 12 minutes, so obviously your stats weren't as normally as they used to, but you still came off the bench at 8 points. Steven, you only had 5. You shot 15%. Not even, you shot 13%. It was just a rough game for everyone. I mean, we can look right here. Devin, you were 1 for 8 from 3, 1 from 7 from 2-point field goals. I mean, what was it? It was just one of those nights.
Nothing was falling. It wasn't. Nothing was just falling in. It was just one of those rough shooting nights. I mean, there's nothing. I don't know. It was just a rough shooting night.
Yeah, and that was part of the notes I had. It's just shots were not falling. You guys had, if you look at the box score, 36 total rebounds, 16 steals. I mean, those are all extra opportunities that you had, and they just were not falling. 16 turnovers, a little bit more than you like to see, right? But overall, shooting 38% from 2, 11 of 29. It was a difficult night, right? So, I know so Nate, I know this is, your first time joining us here, but, we always kind of go over the player of the game. Got to give it to you on this one, for myself, even though as Drew mentioned, you didn't have an opportunity to play the whole game, right? Giving the seniors their time to shine. But I think overall with your 8 points, you had 5 steals as well as 5 rebounds. I think you got this one. And then I also got to give Sam a 6th man of the game. Right, he was a 6th man of the game the last game in my eyes as well. But it was definitely a tough loss, and looks like you guys got to get ready for the next game, right? Next game coming up this Friday. So
yeah, we definitely got to do that. I'm trying to pull it up right here, but I believe when you pull up, varsity basketball, it says something about Nate Lozano can't lead comeback against the Cardinals. James, I think you remember seeing that when we first pulled it up. I think it might be right here, actually. Let's see. Oh, no, it's not. But let's see, where's it at?
it would have been up. It would have been up higher, right? More recent.
Yeah, right here. It says Nathan Lozano's big game can't quite lead Live Oak over Mount Pleasant. So Nate, how does it feel to be, you've been nominated in previous games throughout the season before for player of the game. How does that feel for you?
Feels good. Feels good. I like, especially against teams that last year we didn't beat, or like, especially sophomore year, I wasn't able to take as many shots as I wasn't able to do what I really can. So this year I feel a lot more free, doing whatever I'm able to do, and yeah, it feels really good.
Yeah. So like James said, we still got one. We got another game. We're in playoffs. We just gotta focus on that. We find out we play Wednesday. But yeah, thank you all for joining. I like to thank my guests for coming on with me. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And until then, stay ready.